and welcome to Four Wheels Good, the programme that gives you an indication of the way the world of motoring is turning. In the programme today, Stephen Vokins realises a dream when he gets to test drive Mercedes' stunning CLK coupe. Let's hope it lives up to his great expectations. And John Wright will be flexing his mechanical muscles in the grease of his own garage in Inside Motors. It's hard to believe that Jaguar have been around for over 75 years, and even harder to believe that they've had so many varying models. Owners of the classic marque recently converged one pleasant weekend in the Midlands to chat and compare cars. And our dear old friend Richard Warren went along to hobnob it with the owners of one of the classic British marque.
Well, we're out in the sun yet again, and we're up in a little place near Rugby called Town Thorns, which is actually a retirement home for people involved in the motor industry. And today, or this weekend, they've thrown their grounds open to celebrate 75 years of Jaguar. And of course, in 75 years of production of motor cars, Jaguar have not only produced a fair amount of road cars, they've also been very much involved in competition cars as well. So we'll be looking at some of those and some of the successes they've had, including Le Mans wins in the last couple of years, and quite a few rally cars as well. Well, David, obviously you spent a lot of time and money on this car. When did you first get your hands on it?
We bought the car in '85 as a 10-year-old car, which was just an average XJ, but I particularly wanted a 5.3 coupe. And then we started to restore in '86 and it took us till '94 to restore it.
So obviously a complete restoration, obviously from the ground up.
Exactly, yes. But then, of course, it hadn't been built to concours standard, and I went and put it in a show. And the judges said, oh yes, it's a nice car, but this, that and the other. So since '94, it's been a continual spiral upwards to improve, and it's continuing now.
Because you've won quite a lot of awards here. Can you just run us through some of the major ones you've won?
The major one, of course, would be the Jaguar Drivers Club Champion of Champions last year, which means it's the best concours car in the Jaguar Drivers Club. It comes up against the best of each of the Jaguar Drivers Club registers, the E-Type register, the XK register, at the national final at the NEC in November.
Right, so obviously you must, every time you take it out of the garage, you must pray that nobody sort of bumps into you on the way to shows, or don't you bring it? Don't you drive it to shows?
Yes, we drive. It drives everywhere except to things like finals, where you're allowed to trail. Normally, because of the time of year, really. Rain is the big enemy. You worry more about rain than other people. I love the XJ. I had an XJ in the 70s, and I loved the car as a saloon anyway. But the coupe, of course, is pillarless, so you can open it out, and it's the next best thing to a drop head.
So obviously you're going to keep this on for a few more years yet then?
I'll never sell this.
Well, you couldn't possibly do a feature on 75 years of Jaguar without featuring one of these little beauties. This is a Jaguar EType, if you hadn't all recognised it already. And one of the organisers of the show is Bob Beecham, and he's with me, and this is his car, and he's had it for a number of years now, 28 years, would you believe, and it's actually done about 115,000 miles. Well, Bob, for 115,000 miles of motoring, this car looks pretty good.
Well, I suppose I've done a lot of work on it over the years. I mean, in its early days it was used as daily transport and it went downhill rather rapidly, but I got married then and probably had a bit of time to work on it then, and I built it back up again, and basically over the last couple of years I've bare metaled it again. It's total nut and bolt rebuild and got started again. So although a lot of it's original, I've also rebuilt things as well.
Because I was just credit to you as an owner, because I must admit, looking at it underneath, it looks absolutely immaculate.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of work, a lot of spit and polish there, and you just have to keep on top of it, really. I have helped things a bit by having a lot of stainless steel. So, yes, you can help things along a little bit.
I must admit, we do quite a lot of features on older type cars and veteran and classic cars, and the sad story that comes out of most of them is that you get a lot of problems with certain types of car, and apparently, obviously with a car like this, if you imagine engine problems and things like that happening, it's a very major job, isn't it? Have you done actually a lot of work on the engine yourself?
Well, yes, I'm very fortunate. I've got good working conditions at home. I've especially built a workshop for my vehicles, and a lot of these things, it's the sheer weight. Once you've got the engine out and on a bench, I think a chap who's fairly competent can get by on most things on these cars. But it's the weight of the actual items, that's what scuppers most people.
Well, this car certainly wouldn't win any concours competitions at the moment, because obviously it needs a bit of tender love and care. And this gentleman with me is Keith Vincent from the Jaguar Enthusiast Club. Well, Keith, obviously not all Jaguars start off life like this, but obviously needs a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to go into this. It's It's going to take a long time, it's going to take a lot of money, but depending on the skill level of the individuals doing it, it is the sort of thing that can be restored at home. A lot of our members do undertake those sort of restorations, but it's a bold project.
Because it looks to me it's like the original found in the back of a chicken shed in the farmer's field somewhere.
Yeah, very much, and although the bodywork doesn't look as though that's going to be too bad to do, I don't know what interior parts there are that are missing, and the trim and the chrome and those sort of parts can be very expensive.
I'm amazed to see there's still some headlining left in there, isn't there?
Yes, but not enough to keep it going, I don't think.
Yes, obviously. What advice have you got out there to people who might be thinking of buying a Jaguar in not maybe in such a bad a state as this one, but certainly in the state of needing repair and restoration? What sort of advice could you give them?
It depends on their own skill levels. If they feel competent to do all the body work and the mechanical work and the trim work and have got the relevant skills or some good contacts to do it, then that's fine. If they haven't got that, then go and talk to a specialist. Join one of the clubs and talk to somebody in your local area who knows what they're doing and who can say that's gone too far or these parts aren't available, because not everything's available for these and you have to remanufacture parts, and that's not easy.
Well, this gentleman is Tony OKeefe, who's responsible for the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust. And what exactly do you have to do for that, Tony?
Well, I have to polish a lot of cars, I look after them, I maintain them. We have a restoration plan for the future, and also to acquire cars we haven't got for the collection.
So how many vehicles are you actually responsible for currently?
Currently it's 108 vehicles, and that's Jaguars from the very earliest Swallow sidecar, Daimlers from the very earliest Coventry built production Daimler, which is 1897, and also Lanchesters, which form part of the Daimler group. And then when Jaguar bought Daimler, we purchased Daimler and Lanchester as well.
Well, obviously in this marquee, you must have a very small representation of what you actually got back in the actual museum. So what's the most expensive car you got here today then?
Our most expensive today is the XJ13, and really it hasn't got a value. In the late 80s we were offered £7 million for it, and we turned it down. Who's to say what it's worth today? We will never sell it, it just hasn't got a price. They only built one car.
So obviously tonight when you lock the marquee up, are you going to be sleeping in it?
Not me myself, but we do have someone sleeping in here.
Okay, so what's the second most valuable car you got here then?
Historically, I'd say the 1897 Daimler. This is the earliest production built car built in Coventry by the Daimler company, and they started in 1896. There's no 1896 car surviving, so we're very pleased to have the earliest surviving car left.
So obviously you said you've got responsibilities about looking after the future as well. What other cars are you trying to buy in for the future then?
We're looking at gaps we have in the collection, and we're going out to auctions, concourse clubs to buy the cars we do have. We're also in a very good position to get the cars that the public aren't going to see for a couple of years. So we're building up the collection with cars that will come out in 1999, the new 200s. We've already got one of those in the collection. So we're ongoing, it's an ongoing process.
Well, 75 years of Jaguar life in competitions is reflected here in one of the other marquees at the show, and certainly the number of cars we've got here reflect quite a lot of competition history and success as far as Jaguar are concerned. And the gentleman responsible for getting all these together was Dennis Ashmore, who's the events coordinator for the Jaguar Car Club. Well, Dennis, must have been an absolute nightmare to get all these vehicles here at once.
Yes, it did take a bit of putting together. It did mean that I was able to speak to and meet with quite a lot of interesting people, and the owners of these cars are very helpful in bringing their cars along. I mean, they bring them without any charge, with the event particularly being for charity, so they bring them along without any charge, and they do, I think they like to see them in this kind of event. But yes, we are very grateful to a lot of people for allowing us to show these cars here today.
Well, obviously we've got some cars going back to the 1930s and 1920s, but I think the most unique car here is the one we're standing in front of, the XJR 15, which is sort of like a stillborn road car that was supposed to be a car for a particular one-make race championship, and this one in particular has got a very interesting history, has it not?
It has, yes. I mean, every car here is unique in its way, but this is the XJR 15, of which only about 50 were made. Back in 1991, the Jaguar Sport company, which was part TWR and part Jaguar, built this as a very limited production. About 35 of them were racers, and people might remember that there was a small one model series of races which accompanied the Grand Prix at Monaco, at Silverstone and at Spa. And they were driven by well-known racing drivers for their private owners, who had paid $1 million each for this very special car. It is actually based on the XJR8 and the XJR9 and the XJR12, which won the 24-hour races at Daytona and at Le Mans in 1988 and in 1990. And underneath the shell, it is very much like the XJR9 that we've got here, which was the actual winner in 1988, and it's made a very special road car, I think, out of it.
Well, one of the main supporters of today is, of course, the British Motor Heritage organisation, and the managing director is Brian Cameron, who's here with me now. Well, Brian, why are you supporting today's 75th birthday celebration for Jaguar?
Well, for some years now we've been involved with Jaguar in terms of looking after their specialist in the older parts, and we're just about to move into some XJ series parts, and this seemed like a great opportunity to come along to a bit of a garden party and spread the word of British Motor Heritage, the British Motor Heritage specialists, and the new parts we have available.
But obviously today is very much about getting the general public involved in the charity known as Ben as well, isn't it?
Well, Ben's a great charity to be involved with. It looks after the interests of people who have worked or associated with the motor trade, and here at Town Thorns they've just set up a beautiful garden party, very, very reminiscent of Goodwood and sort of the Festival of Speed, very relaxed and beautiful weather.
Well, this is absolutely the end of the day, and as you can see, yet another E-Type Jaguar, but a very famous one indeed. It's been raced by Bruce McLaren and David Hobbs way back in the 1960s, and it's still capable of doing a couple of 100 miles an hour right now. So I'm going to take this one home, I think. It's just a gorgeous piece of machinery, and really I can't think of a better way to end the day.
Richard Warren there, soaking up some classic British heritage with owners of Jaguar cars. That's it for part one, but join us after the break when Stephen Vokins' passion for a certain Mercedes manifests itself and John Wright's mechanics mania is unmasked once again in Inside Motors. Welcome back to Four Wheels Good. Now, the steady nerve of Stephen Vokins is rarely rocked, but when he recently came face to face with a private passion, he had trouble containing his euphoria. But even through this, he soldiered valiantly on to bring us this road test on the Mercedes CLS coupe.
If I had to sum up this car in one word, it would be subtlety. That's the real theme of this car. Everything about it is really subtle and understated. The elegance, the feel, the luxury, it's all there, but it doesn't boast about it. It doesn't scream out at you, this is a luxury car. Ultimately, a car is a machine and it should be judged as such. Its purpose in life is to get you from A to B with as much safety, with as much comfort and as little fuss as possible. So how does this Mercedes perform? Well, I have to say it's the best I've ever driven. I've been with cars ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. First word I said as a baby was car. I love cars, I live and breathe cars. I've driven everything from 1928 Morrises forwards, and although other cars excel in other ways, like the Maserati is faster, the Rolls-Royce may feel more luxurious, in terms of a complete car, I've never driven a better one than this. It's fabulous. You feel cosseted, but you don't feel cut off from the road. You just feel you're in touch with everything, but you're in complete safety, complete luxury. The silence is there, but if you want engine noise, you can boot the accelerator and that glorious V6 will roar. The CLK is available with a choice of 3 engines. The 2-litre 136 brake horsepower as seen in the C and E class saloons, the 2.3-litre compressor engine from the SLK Roadster developing 193 brake horse, and in this car the newly developed 3.2-litre 18-valve V6 which develops 218 brake horsepower and gives the car a top speed of 149 miles per hour. Among the features that makes this Mercedes-Benz coupe a practical proposition for everyday motoring are an enormous boot, electric windows, slide and tilt sunroof, and if you look closely, this blue square here is a rain sensor that regulates the speed of the intermittent wipers. There's plenty of wood and leather about inside this car as well, just to make the interior that bit more special, but not too opulent, all very subtle. Even in today's world, there are some cars that come available with character. This is one. Its character is very German, it's very Teutonic, everything is there for a purpose, everything works perfectly, and the attention to detail is mind-blowing. Everything is exactly right, and there's just the right amount of chrome, the chrome door handles, chrome lock barrels, even to completely unnecessary chrome trim on the doors. When I got the car from Mercedes-Benz, I got with it a piece of paper listing 43 different attributes they thought worthy of mention. And that didn't even include this, the L-code key. Now in the real world, no car is perfect, not even this one, and I have found faults with it. The main two gripes are small ones. First of all, the cruise control arm is too close to the indicator stalk. And the second is the quality of material used to make the rear ashtray. Very small complaint, but it did seem a bit flimsy and penny pinching. I recognise that the Mercedes CLK 320 isn't going to be everybody's ideal car, but it does make a refreshing change from most.
Steve Vokins will be back with another mighty vehicle next week. Now it's time to peer around the corner of the most popular motor mechanic on television. Yes, it's time to go over and see Dr. Spanners himself, John Wright, in Inside Motors.
Hello and welcome once again to Inside Motors. The one job I've really wanted to do ever since I started this feature was rebuild an engine. Now I've got the chance. A friend of mine is doing a restoration project on a 1958 Mark I midget. Right, we'll just get a little bit here and show you what we've got to do. Now the whole engine's got to be stripped down so we can have a look, see what's wrong with it, and then we can completely recondition it. Now I've had to learn a completely new way of thinking because all the nuts and bolts on here are in imperial measurement, and for the last 10 years I've been using metric measurement. Let's just take this rocker box off. I don't need a spanner for that because it's loose. We'll just get rid of this heater connection off here. Think about this, there's lots of fiddly little bits to take off. It's just a matter of stripping it down and getting it nice and clean. There we go. Right, we'll just get rid of the thermostat housing. They can be a little sticky, these. Let's see how it goes. Just a little bit of, that's it, lovely. Gentle persuasion with a Birmingham screwdriver. Great. Now cylinder head bolts always need to be loosened in sequence. And you start from the middle and work out. Do that one. And that one. Right, just change socket. Are you ready? Change socket and get these back head bolts off so we can nice and gently remove the rocker gear. Right, this is the rocker gear across the top, and these are what are known as the tappets, and they operate the valves which let the petrol in and the exhaust gases out.
Thanks there to the mustachioed master mechanic John Wright, who'll be with us again next week. Also in next week's programme, Richard Warren will be taking a flight over to Switzerland to see how Goodyear test their winter tyres. Ian Roy will be test driving a revolutionary new dustbin lorry that will be taking to your streets soon. And Steve Vokins will be living with the fabulously refined and sporting Jaguar XJ8. See you then.